Welcome to Career Talk. I'm Yaton, and today I'm with Don, who is the safety director. Good morning, Don. How are you?
Real good. Good morning, Tony.
Alrighty. So you're a safety director. Tell me a little bit about your job.
Yes, I'm safety director for Associated Builders and Contractors. We're a construction organization here in the state of Wisconsin and across the United States. We have about 900 members here in Wisconsin and 28,000 across the United States. My job, we have a team of 4 safety people here in the state. I oversee that team where we go to construction job sites for our members. We look at the work functions that they do, and then we do a lot of training on safety regulations that go through each employee of a construction company.
How long have you been working?
I've been in construction for some 35 plus years. As we look at that, I've been in safety for the majority of that as we look at it. From when I graduated with a degree in safety at UW-Platteville, and then also for up till about a year and a half ago, I taught construction safety at UW-Platteville along with working for ABC and the member companies.
Did you need any special training before you started the job?
Well, a lot of the training, obviously I went 4 years of college that we talked about a lot of the basics in that, but then the training really came on job sites and working with people. And in reality, where you learn the most, and it really gets me excited about safety, it's sort of a roundabout way, is if you ever get involved in one of the worst things that can happen on any site, if it's in manufacturing or construction, is fatality. And I got involved with my first one at a young age where a person fell 70 feet. And how it affects the company and how it affects each individual within the company, and more than anything, it's how it affects the family and how the family goes on from that, which really gives you a goal now of making sure the top thing is, I always look at there's 3 things that an individual in a company needs to do. And it's always safety first, quality always, and then there's productivity. But safety first becomes so important that it's the top thing that any construction company needs to do with their employees as you look at that. Because there's nothing better than going home at night to your family and doing the things that you want to do. And that's really what life's about, and safety plays a big part of that.
So let's start with some of the safety stuff in the job trailer.
Sure, Tony, that's a good point. If we look here, we start out first and foremost with the rules and regulations that all the employees have and their rights. So we want to make sure that we have those posted for the employees. Obviously, as we look at stuff with the coronavirus and in the pandemic we're in right now, we want to make sure that we remind our people about that, so that we do all of our hand sanitizing, our spatial things, stuff like that. So we start here, and we work our way over now to an important part of our first aid kits as we look at it. You're going to notice as we look inside, we'll have a supply of first aid kits for emergencies. We have each of our team members or other trades have their own also on the sites, but we want to make sure we have a large one here. And then our bloodborne pathogens, how we handle safely if we have a cut in the blood. And then of course our bleeding control kit. So we have this on typical all the construction sites as we look at that. Another important part, as you see down here, is our Sds Sheets. That's our safety data sheets for all the products that our tradespeople use. This will show how they can get it. We have this all online in the app that they can see every SDS from not only here at CCI, but also all the trades theirs individually in case they come in contact with a product and they need to know what to put on maybe their body to get rid of it. As they look at that, if they get it injected, what to do, how to treat it. So all that information is right there, so we have immediate access to that. So then if we move around, we also want to make sure everybody knows what to do in case of an emergency. You know, it's always nice to say, call 911 or do this or that, but the reality is if you've got a severe injury, there's thousands of things running through your minds when you're looking at that. You know, what's the address? How do we get the EMTs here right away? How do we get the fire department here right away? So there's an address, there's numbers to call, things that we can help the tradespeople, and we have these posted in other areas to be able to get help here as soon as possible. So typically that's what we're going to have here in the job trailer and out on the site, just to prep our people, and we train it. We have an orientation. If you look at the big screens over there, before anybody comes onto the site, there's a 25-minute, 30-minute orientation that talks about what the rules of the site are. with the safety rules, what we require for PPE, like your hard hat, your safety glasses, etc. And then also the actions of fall protection as you look at that. We really focus on 4 things that we call the focus 4 areas, and that's falls, struck bys, caught betweens, and electrocutions as you look at that. And we'll go through that in our video with our people in that half an hour and make sure that they understand what the rules and regulations are, what they need to do to make sure that they're safe so they go home at night. And we'll do that prior to anybody going onto the construction site itself. So it all starts here, and then as we're gonna go, Tony, out to the job site, we'll talk about what, as safety people, we look for there.
All right, great. So we have just walked out of the job trailer, and now we're out on the job site. Don, can you tell us a little bit about the safety precautions you have on the job site here?
Sure, I can, Tony. If we look at the site, you see you have a relatively large site, what allows a lot of traffic to flow. So the first thing you'll notice is we have drive paths, so we have traffic areas, and you'll see everybody with high vis on. We look at what we call WOFs, or worker on foot, and we want to make sure that they stand out. We want to make sure that our drive paths are known by everybody so people don't walk in front or behind somebody. You probably notice in the background bells ringing and this and that. That's to warn you that a vehicle is going backwards. And then if we look across up here, you're going to see from the ramp that goes up to the stadium, the guardrails that we have in place to put up there for people who are walking by. And typically we look at anything that's over 6 foot as we get into that. If we move towards the stadium, it might be harder to see, but we have cable going across up there. And then up on the 3rd floor of the stadium itself, you'll see scaffolding. And because we're so high up there, behind that you'll see it looks like 2x4s across. Those are strategically located guardrails that we put on that protects the workers that are up in that area itself. If we go way up to the peak by the roof, you're going to see for our roofers we have what we call warning lines. That's areas to protect that will direct where the employees are going so that they can't get too close to the edges or run into that area. And then you'll also see as we move left up on the stadium on the 3rd floor that we have guardrails also to protect. So the first thing we look at, traffic patterns, how we're doing that. Are we protecting the workers with the high vis, etc. And then we're going to look at what is all of our falls. Again, we're looking at those focus 4 things: falls, struck bys, caught betweens, and electrocutions as we do. So again, if you take a look at the silos over there, they're strategically located as we're doing mixing of mortar, things like that, to keep it away from the people when that's all happening. So that's sort of the layout of the construction site as we look at that.
So Don, with your job, do you have to work with a team to make sure that you've met all the safety precautions and make sure everyone's safe?
Yes, as we look at that, and it starts with our orientation when we bring all the tradespeople in from all the trades to talk about what our rules and regulations are to keep them safe and to keep their team people safe on the job site. And then I periodically go out and I do inspections to make sure that everything's in place. Our workers are doing what they're supposed to do as far as the safety goes. We want to make sure that as the contractor, they're putting all the safety precautions up for the workers as we're looking at that. So it is a team effort as we look at that. And the goal of all this is what makes it easy. The goal is that we all go home safe. And that's really what we're looking for. That's what CCI looks for, and really any contractor's looking for as they're doing it. So safety becomes is the number one issue that we look for on the job sites, and the thing we want to do first and foremost, if you remember when I said safety first, and we look at that all the time.
Now, when you were in high school, did you always want to go into construction and safety?
That's a good question, Tony, as you look at that. When I was in high school, construction always intrigued me. Did I think about it? The answer was probably not. I knew I was going to go on to college as we looked at that, so I started more in a liberal arts type of an area. But one of the things I'd strongly recommend for high school students is what I did when I probably was between my freshman and sophomore year of college is, really what do I want to do when I grow up for my career, and what do I want to do? So what I did was I took what was called internships. And that helped me go out and work in the field to determine, is construction what I want or not? Well, I went into construction. I was fortunate I got to travel across the Midwest and the South and the East Coast in doing construction work. And then as I looked at it, it was really something that I liked. And then when I went back my sophomore year, I really focused on the construction side. And then as I looked at how can I help all the people, safety became a huge issue as we did that. And then I sort of focused towards safety with that. So the best thing I can say for any high school students is think about what you want to do and try it. If you don't like it, you can go to something else. But the earlier you do that, I think the more you'll look at what your future is and things that you like to do. Because the thing you need to remember in school is what I was always told, if you do something you like and you enjoy it, you never work a day in your life. So take that opportunity at a young age to try different things out. And if you like it, you might want to stick with it. If you don't like it, move on to something else as you look at it.
That's great advice. Now, for going into construction and safety, what kind of skills should one person have or should look at themselves and see if they would be into construction and safety?
Yeah, well, on the construction side, it's mechanical. Do you understand, construction process? Have you worked with tools and equipment and stuff like that? And even if you haven't, is it something I would be interested in doing or what I like to do as you look at that? Because one of the nice things about apprenticeships and bringing younger students in is that the companies will work with you on that and train you with that as you look at that. So that's something you'd bring on with time, and they can work with you on that area. The whole safety side, again, working with people. Can you get the point across to people on that? The safety side is always something, the technical stuff can be taught, and you can learn that when you're on there, but it's how you deal with people and how do you deal with issues and things like that. That's probably a big part of that.
So Don, can this job be overwhelming sometimes?
Well, there are situations that can be, but the reality is I look at it, it's what we do up front to make sure that the inevitable, I shouldn't say the inevitable, but make sure that a serious accident doesn't occur. And it's seeing that, and it's seeing the growth of the individuals you work with and seeing how they handle the safety side, different things like that, becomes very important. And it becomes now, I wouldn't say stressful, but it becomes something that really gives you pride in what you're doing. So when you go home at night, you feel good about what you've accomplished and what your people have accomplished. But there's always that side when there's essential picks and different things like that you want to make sure things are done right, because there's always that thing, well, what happens if something goes wrong? What do I do? As you look at that. So that can be stressful at times, but I think when it's all said and done and you do things right, it's that feeling of really playing an important part of building something great like the stadium we have here today, and the part that we play in that.
So Don, where are we headed next?
Well, Tony, let's go in the building, see, we've seen it from the outside what it looks like, so let's go inside and see what the specialty trades are doing now and how safety applies to
them. So here we are at the first level of the ABC Stadium. And Don, can you tell me what this is?
Sure, Tony. What we're looking at now is probably the first thing on the safety side we come into the building we look at, and that's the power. So we got a power panel here, so we want to make sure that the power panel is set up properly, because what's going to supply a lot of the work is going to be the cord. So we look at our GFCIs, our shared grounding conductor programs, things like that when we get into those things. So we really start here and then work our way towards the building. The other thing when we come in, you can see down the hallways, which they do a very good job here at the stadium, is the housekeeping. Keeping things clean, keeping things out of the way, moving the cords to the side or hanging them, things like that. So this is really where I start when I come on, is we start at the power and then we work our way through the rest of the building with that. And that's what we have. We'll have multiple power sources like this throughout the building.
And what are you working on for the stadium?
Yeah, as we look here on the stadium, my job on this obviously is to come around, and I come here weekly and do inspections. Now, the trades, each one individually has forms that they fill out and send to the trailer on a weekly basis, and then our site superintendent daily, along with his foreman, come and do inspections. So safety is a daily thing. All the trades, before they start, have what we call a safety huddle. They take 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the beginning of the day, and they talk about what are we going to do today? You know, what's our job function? What are the hazards with the function? What are the tools and equipment? Do we have everything here in place? Do I have my proper PPE? Do I have all of my tools? Do I have my ladders? Is everything set up properly? And we do that in the first 10, 15 minutes every day. And that sets us up for the next 8 hours, you know, as we're working there. So everybody knows what their function is, what they're doing. And we found out by doing this, accidents just seem to go away. And that's our goal, is to have 0 accidents here. I mean, you always we want people to remember this stadium by the tradespeople here, the men and women that have built this, not an accident that happened. So it's doing those things on a daily basis.
Great. And then, for any high schoolers who are interested in construction safety, what would you recommend for them and to start going into this career?
Yeah, I would recommend one, through your school system, if you have it, working through the school to try to get on summer internships, if you can. If not, going to different, if it's construction companies here in the Beloit, Janesville areas, or Clinton, I guess I should say, the metro of Clinton there for you, and working with construction companies there, because they do bring on in the summertime. There are special rules and regulations for anybody under the age of 18, but there are things that we can do to get a feel of what construction is for the students, because the reality is the high school students, the grade school students, as I look at it, and our college students are our future. You know, you get old duffers like me, we're towards the highlight, you know, at the end of our careers, and what's exciting to me is watching young men and women like yourself that will grow up, will come into the trades and see how they progress, and by the time I'm ready to retire, they're probably managing things, and that's fulfilling when you look at that.
Okay, Don, so can you explain where we're at now?
Sure, Tony. Where we're at right now is we're up on the second story, and this is one of our elevated entryways where we bring material from the road, from the equipment to the job site itself. We have a caution tape here. We try to direct people away. We have our barriers up here that stay closed until we bring material in. Once we bring material in, we then move this barricade back. We then, if you look on top, we have retractables that our tradespeople have harnesses on that are exposed to that are now tied off so we're not exposed to a fall. So this is one of the multiple areas we bring material in. This is one of our trade professionals' job boxes. You're going to see the tools that they have in the area, the fire extinguishers close by. Again, we talked about our SDSs, and here they have them right up here, that number to call for access for any of the trades if they come in contact with any of their products. So again, you're going to see that on different areas at job sites also.
All right. Now, Don, what does your day-to-day job look like?
Yeah, my day-to-day is, I'm very fortunate, it's multifold. I'm fortunate in that I get to come on job sites like this. I get to meet with a couple of the people we had just met with before we went back on camera, talked about how their days are going, if there's anything we can do to help them in the safety side. So I'm on the job sites a lot, as I look at that. But also as I manage a team of safety people, I'm also looking at what our team's doing, how they're out there. And I'm also in the office also. So I'm probably on the road. You know, it used to be 80% of the time. Now it's probably 50-50 as we're looking at that, as I'm doing more managing, putting programs together. We put partnerships together with OSHA, which is one of the regulatory agencies that we work with, and we typically try to meet with them on a quarterly basis just to see how things are going and what we need to do to make it safer for the workers.
Well, what's your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part of the job is interacting with the people. You know, that's the one thing about safety, as we talked earlier, you have to be able to interact, you have to be able to talk to the people themselves. From all ages, from young interns to the seasoned veterans that are on the site. And it's really working together with them getting the point across that they all see the importance of safety in their day-to-day activities.
Don, why don't we go upstairs then?
Okay, Tony.
Here we are with this amazing view of the stadium. Don, can you tell us what's happening around here and what kind of safety precautions are here? Because we're very high off the ground.
Sure, we're now looking at 30 plus feet in the air. So you're going to notice we have cable guardrails and they're flagged as we've done with that. If you notice the scaffolding because of the height there, they're all guardrailed also. And then if you scan, or if you take a look over another view of the ball diamond itself, you can see all the fall protection that's in place also as we're looking at that. So when we start working at heights and we're outside, fall protection becomes probably our number one area that we look at. Make sure it's right.
So are you ever going to come to one of the games here?
Oh yeah, as we look at the stadium, and of course being part of this since it started, you know, it's going to be nice to see the stadium when it's done, the part that we as the construction people play in it, and then seeing the enjoyment that the community is going to have with a beautiful stadium like that. I've been in a lot of ballparks, a lot of of the smaller divisions, but yet never have seen a ballpark this beautiful until you get up into the pro league. So the Beloit area should be pretty proud of what they have coming here this summer with the ball team.
And one last question. How does it feel to be part of these projects for a community like Beloit right now with this baseball field? How does it feel when you see the finished project and knowing that you're a part of it?
Yeah, right now it's a good feeling knowing I'm playing part of it. It's not over, it's still the beginning for us. Where I'm going to feel good is when I can come here, sit and watch a game, have a hot dog, and know nobody got hurt. That we started and finished it that way. That's what's going to bring me the pride. So we're not done with that yet, but we're well on our way.
Alrighty. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your job?
Yeah, as we look at it, I think we talked about the different areas that we look at on the safety side, how we lay it out from day one when a new tradesperson comes on the job site to when we finish it, to when we get a chance to come out and eat that brat and watch the game. So I think we covered most of the areas and how it affects, and hopefully some of the younger students will take a look at construction and see that as a viable industry. It's been a great industry for me. The pay is great. Obviously the work is great. You get to work with a lot of people as you're looking at that. But again, as they started out with, all students should look at making sure no matter what they do, if it's construction or not, do what you love to do. Because if you do that, you really don't work a day in your life, and you want to go to work each day.
Well, thank you, Don, for letting us interview you today here at the baseball stadium.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you for taking the time to learn about what safety is and the important part it plays on a construction site.
And thank you for watching this video. If you have any more questions, you can contact CareerTalk or ABC. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any more questions, you can contact CareerTalk or ABC. Nailed it? I don't know.